Nets, tonight is the night. Premium Pete Show live in Atlanta at the WeWork in Colony Square. Special guest, sounds by DJ Wally Sparks. Food. Man, it's going to be fucking wavy. Make sure you RSVP. The link is in my Instagram bio. I want you to come out. Tell a friend to tell a friend. If you're from Atlanta, come out. If you know somebody that lives in Atlanta, tell them, yo, the Premium P Show is live. I'll be in A3C. Okay, I'll be on a panel, special panel. Make sure you come check me. If you see me out in ATL, say, fuck you, Premium P. Now I'm only playing. Say, what's up, Premium P. Okay? But tonight, October 5th, 7 to 11 p.m., Colony Square at WeWork is going down. Make sure you're there. Now let's get to this episode. Cheer.
Come on, everybody get set, let's go. It's the next episode. It's the Premium Pete Show. News, interviews, all of the info. Listen up, it's the Premium Pete Show. If you want the scoop in the low, down low, listen to the show, cause Milk said so. Fuck what you heard, better act like you know. It's the Premium Pete Show.
Internets, welcome back to another episode of the Premium Pete Show. Sitting here with the one and only, on some shit,
Hey.
Adam.
22.
No Jumper. And why 22?
When I was 15, I pretty much had to start a screen name for the first time on the internet. And
was that AOL?
Actually, it was LiveJournal.
What? God damn.
This is way back.
You're an old motherfucker.
I really am. I was 15, and somebody told me to sign up for it. I didn't know it was going to be of any significance at all. But even then, back when I was 15, the kids in school would kind of pay attention to my fucking LiveJournal and stuff because I would just be saying really off the cuff things about people I was in school with.
What is some of the stuff? Not meaning who these people are, but what is some of the stuff you were saying?
I don't know. I feel like I would just say that some kid was ugly or stupid or something. I didn't really have any concept of people reading the shit that I was saying on my live journal, and people just kind of started. I would write descriptions of my day of things that would happen, and I remember even in high school people were kind of fucking with it. They started to get into it, and that sort of gave me that little tiny taste for the first time about making some content.
And I guess back then you couldn't make just Adam. You had to put
even that early. I tried to get Adam, and it was no.
It was taken.
Yeah, so I thought about doing Adam 1. I was like, nah. I typed Adam 2. I'm like, nah, and I was like, I'll put another 2. That was about it.
But I like that you recognized from an early age, even before you were able to do any type of content, before you were able to be a tatted up, BMX shit that we'll get into, YouTube shit. Before you were intriguing on the outside, you were already doing something on the inside.
I always had a lot to say. I remember when I was 9 years old that I was super into video games, and I would go rent video games from the store, and I would fucking sit on my mom's computer and fucking write reviews for all the video games that would come out, and then I would buy all these video game magazines, and I would read their reviews of the reviews or of the games, and then I would take my reviews and I would edit them to reflect the good points that I thought they made in their reviews. So even when I was 9, 10 years old, I was always just writing and just drawing and just trying to make some shit. And then once I got online, I felt like it all kind of just made a lot of sense to me. Oh, this is the place.
It is amazing. Where'd you grow up?
Nashua, New Hampshire, which is a small city of 80,000 people. It's about 5 minutes from the Massachusetts border, about half hour from Boston.
Mm-hmm.
So it was kind of, I had that suburb life, but, it is a city. I had that dimension to it, but then it's also right near Boston. You got a little 4-hour drive to New York, so it's a weird place to grow up because it's not as easy to explain. People, when you say I'm from Brooklyn, it's I'm from Brooklyn. It's easy to understand, kind of.
Mom and dad?
Mom is a librarian, or was a librarian at community college. She just retired at the tender age of 64, I think, and my dad was he worked at social services for the last 20 years, but before that he was working in local government. He was an alderman. He was very early on the Bill Clinton campaign trail.
Really?
In New Hampshire is the first primary state or whatever. So my dad, I have all these photos of me with Clinton as a kid because my dad would be helping him out.
Were you smoking weed with Clinton back then?
I didn't, considering I was probably 8, but certainly I would have been open to it. I wouldn't inhale.
How was your relationship with your pops?
My relationship with my dad, it's kind of weird because, from a very young age, I was getting in a lot of trouble. So me and my dad were getting physical, beating the shit out of each other, stuff like that. And then also, but then at the end of the day, when I really think about it, they really did, raise me with very good values and, how to think about the world around me, that kind of thing. So I'm very thankful for my upbringing, even though to a certain extent, me and my dad went through some hellish times for a while there,
How are you now?
We're great now. I mean, we get on great. But I mean, when I was 16, I got arrested for fucking graffiti and fighting and stuff a bunch of times, and so I basically like went to like a therapist, and the therapist, I got really lucky. He's like the court was basically making my parents send me to a therapist, and so I'm talking to him and like explaining everything, and he was the first person that ever really kind of put it into my mind, like, oh, the reason why you are constantly on edge, constantly working, feel like you constantly need to be improving and doing better is because you grew up in an environment where you never knew if your dad was going to assault you over really something that was not correlated to your actual behavior, and that, like, I was kind of like a badly behaved kid, but a lot of times when my dad would hit me, it would be more based on him being mad about something,
Sure.
And that was the first time I really had that kind of idea exposed to me. And then I remember even then that the therapist was like, I want to get your dad in here. I want you guys to talk about this. I think it'd be really important. And I remember just being like, I can't imagine having that conversation with him. And we never really did, but it felt like it all just kind of went by the wayside over time. It just doesn't seem like it matters anymore,
Were you, even now, growing up, were you able to sit and talk to him like a regular guy now, or it's
now
still...
for sure?
Okay.
Yeah. Now it's like all that stuff. I just feel like we did talk about it at a certain point, like sort of like on our own. But he's a very like John Wayne type of guy who's just not going to really try to have a conversation unless he has to. But as the years have gone by, I have a lot more of an understanding and a respect for his life and what he went through as a man. Like, I have a lot of sympathy for how much pressure he had on him with 2 kids and a wife. And I mean, he didn't know what the fuck he was doing.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. People say, I forgot who said it. I think it may have been Kenneth Montgomery, the lawyer. I'm not sure. But I think he said, yo, we're just people too. Like, I'm a parent, you have any kids?
No.
But that you know of. But, you got to think about it, we're just people too.
Exactly.
Trying to live our lives. The reason why I was asking him that about Pops is because, even me being young, getting arrested, young at graffitis, doing drugs, selling drugs, like just fucking around. I, for a long time, tried to pinpoint where that shit, like why I was like that. Because I had good parents. Like even my lady now, she says, I don't know who raised you because your parents are good people.
Yeah.
And I say, I mean, I'm a good dude. I just was a knucklehead back then. I didn't care.
That's kind of its own burden in a way, because if you meet some kid and he has terrible parents, terrible upbringing, and he went to jail, he got in trouble, it makes sense. For me, a lot of times people meet my parents are like, what the fuck? Like, they seem so nice and well-mannered. Like, how did you end up going in a different way for a long time? And a lot of people look at me now, they're like, oh, you got tattoos, so you're probably a piece of shit right now. And even though...
You think people still think like that?
I would say I'm like a pretty productive member of society now, but still, people like... Oh, I had Dave Attell fucking basically call me a white supremacist last night.
Really?
We went to this comedy show, and I went to use the bathroom, and like on my way out, I just hear him like, you see that guy? He looked like a friggin' Nazi with that tattoo on the back of his head. And I'm just like in the hallway looking back like, whoa. But they got off topic and stopped talking about me almost immediately. I was like, man, that was weird.
It's funny because I think people from the generation before us are still very judgmental. Even with mom and pops, like when you got those tattoos, did they ever judge you?
I felt
or
like...
your uncles, you know?
I started small. I started like on my chest or my leg, and my parents didn't really think it was that big a deal. And then, by the time I started to get like full sleeves, my hands and my face, I already was starting to have money, and like in a way that my parents could comprehend at that point, because I was running a website, BMX website that I started in 2006 called The Come Up. And, by the time I actually like I feel like they were really happy because they almost kind of knew that I was doing illegal shit and being a piece of shit for a long time. So by the time that I was getting a tattoo on the back of my head, it was like they already were just so relieved that they felt like I probably was going to be okay,
Yeah. Now, with the BMX website,
yeah,
what made you even want to start that? Just from being a BMX fan?
Yeah, I was just online all the time, and I was always just looking at looking at Two Dope Boys, just checking out all the blogs of the time. And it just sort of occurred to me because, I was a huge rap fan, but I didn't have any involvement in rap.
Who'd you like?
Huh?
Who were you inspired by, like?
With rap?
Yeah.
Shit. My entry point was like Snoop Dogg and Dr. Dre and Coolio and Eazy-E and NWA and all this like West Coast shit. For some reason that like fully hit me before I got into like, Wu-Tang and Nas and Jay and all that stuff. But, that was my kind of initial entry point where I fell in love with it and then just sort of went from there. But yeah, I was just spending a ton of time online, and I've been riding BMX at that point for 10 years. Now, I knew everything about it.
Mongoose?
I had a Schwinn. Schwinn was my first.
Schwinn, wow. That's
my
top of the line.
BMX bike was a Schwinn Powermatic 2. But then by that point, I like figured out very quickly that you had to upgrade to like hardcore raw BMX frames from companies like S&M or Fit or something like that. You know, the cool brands.
What about pegs? You know, like in the back. Did you fuck
All
with that?
four pegs, no brakes for life.
People, you ever ride the homies in the back?
Pause, but yes. They get a flat tire. You take their whole bike and put it on your handlebars, and then they stand on the back.
Let me just tell you,
I love having a girl on the back pegs. That feels great.
It's a beautiful thing, but not many people catch me on a pause like that. But I'm used to doing that, and I kind of almost gave it up. But yes, that was very worthy.
Well, no homo don't sound right anymore.
Yeah,
the world has changed. We had to leave that alone. I think pause is all right.
Yeah. So the best bike. What would you say the best bike is?
The best bike right now is probably any BMX company who advertises on the comeup.com, the greatest BMX website in the world. No, I don't give a fuck. Bikes are all basically exactly the same these days because they're all made in the same two fucking factories.
Where?
So in China or Taiwan or where the fuck it is, I don't even know. I never bothered to go over there. But I mean, it's like the differences in bike now are mostly cosmetic. It's a different color paint. It's a different rider endorsing it, that kind of thing. So a good bike is like we sell 10 different bike brands, and they're all the best bike brand from all of bike from all of them is.
You fuck with Cannondale?
Cannondale. I don't think they. Shit, did they ever make BMX bikes? I had a
Cannondale
I'm just saying, road bike.
Not BMX bikes, but I'm saying like when I remember a point in time where people like Cannondales were about like 1,500 at the time. Like this is like I may have been like 17, so this may have been over 20 years ago. Goddamn, but people were getting robbed for Cannondales.
Yeah, those are nice.
And I remember that they were the lightest bike I ever seen. Like I would pick it up with just like my pinky or just like my index finger, and just pick it up. And I was like, wow, but not BMX bikes. But they.
I always felt very removed from like the overall bicycle culture, and I was just like, I'm a BMX rider. Like I don't really. I consider myself a music fan to some degree, but really I'm a rap fan. Like really, if I never had to listen to fucking any other type of music for the rest of my life, I'd be totally fine.
Sure.
Celine Dion could suck it. I don't really need that in my life.
I mean, she got good clavicle bones.
Yeah, well, that's
she does. She does.
Point.
She's getting a little wrinkly, but she got clavicle bones, and I fuck with her. BMX. You think about it. Who's this? Who passed away? It's amazing. Dave Mayer.
Rest in peace.
Did you ever meet him?
Yeah, I met him real quick a couple of times. I think he always had such a clean image that I don't think he really wanted to be taking too many photos with me. But I got a photo with him back in the day, even though it's like I'm about 2 heads taller than him too. He's a tiny guy.
Finding out what happened with him. Did you ever?
I heard a lot of insider accounts of everything, and basically, I think a lot of that brain trauma, a lot of the pain pills that he was probably prescribed. That shit all adds up. Not to mention, you get the fucking cosmonaut syndrome, where it's like you're an X Games champion for 7 or 8 years, and then all of a sudden you're a regular guy, and you just don't what the fuck are you gonna do with yourself? I don't know what the fuck was going on with Dave Mayer when he killed himself, but I do know that he had a couple of daughters and a wife. So it's like whatever he was going through, that shit was probably some really serious shit.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that too because you think about it, and rest in peace. Rest in peace, and prayers out to anybody who is going through anything similar to that. Because, look, I love myself. When I was in the box for a year, I spoke about this on previous episodes. I did 1 year in the box. I thought there was a time where I was like, man, I don't even want to live anymore. But I had my daughter, and I was like, there's no way. But I just, it's amazing you brought up that point because I just can't imagine having kids and off of myself, you know what I mean?
That's what made it so hard for people to understand. Actually, when I found out, I was in Argentina on a BMX trip, and we're in this fucking huge nightclub. It's 3 o'clock in the morning, and some kid who barely fucking speaks English runs up to me. He's like, I'm so sorry. I'm like, what? Dave Mayer killed himself. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? I'm wasted. I'm fucking in this club. We're all just hanging out with these girls and stuff, and all of a sudden I'm just fucking crying in the club. My eyes are fucking watering up, and it was just because that guy, nobody could ever put into words how much bigger he was than everyone else in BMX. The level of stardom he was able to achieve and all the things he was able to do in BMX, it elevated the whole thing. Like a rising tide raises all boats, whatever the fuck this saying is, And it's then when he, BMX is in a weird spot because it's kind of it's not skateboarding. Skateboarding is gigantic. It's not quite that. It's not quite motocross, which is really big. It's kind of the weird stepbrother of those sports in a weird way. And when Dave did that, it almost sort of had a weird effect on the overall feeling of the community because it's damn, if the best that we've ever been able to produce went out like that, then what the fuck does that say about us?
Sure. What about Nigel Sylvester? You ever hung with him?
Yeah, shout out to Nigel, man. I've known him since he was 16, and he's always been putting in work. I remember him riding Brooklyn Banks, fucking sweating his ass off, looking like Michael Jordan back when he was 16, just putting in work.
He's nasty with it. I know Nigel a long
Grinding.
time too. One thing I like is that he's been able to consistently stay with sponsors, and the reason why I'm mentioning that is because he's been able to live his dream, and it's great when people not only open doors but continue, because that makes it easier for the next person too.
True, yeah, he's very like from the very beginning. Like I don't know who it was, but he always had people in the right in his ear telling him like, hey, like the value of being brand friendly or being able to put yourself out there and get looks like. Going and doing some, because I saw him go up, like it's a big thing, like if you're trying to make a name for yourself and you want to be in the media, like you need to go out and get really, really small media appearances that will then help you snowball into bigger stuff. Like you're never going to get a complex video or a Vice feature until you go, and I remember seeing him do the fucking Hip Hop DX profile and the allhiphop.com profile, all this little shit, and thinking, you know, that's interesting. He's like bothering to go in that direction. But then I, like a couple of years later, I saw like the full vision of like, oh, you're creating a template for bigger media companies to be able to understand why you're interesting, you know?
Sure. You have No Jumper, the podcast. The store is called what?
On Some Shit.
On Some Shit. And what's in the store?
In the store, we sell our own clothing line, On Some Shit. We sell a lot of the No Jumper branded stuff. We sell bikes. We sell bike parts. We sell stickers, you know, all kinds of shit.
Is it a fucking hangout?
In back is oftentimes a hangout. We got to like be pretty strict with the rules and stuff because we always got all kinds of weirdos trying to roll up in there. It's probably, honest to God, probably a good 100 backwoods get smoked on the premises every day.
God damn.
Yeah, it's scary.
Ain't nothing wrong with that. Let me ask you something. No Jumper.
Yeah.
Where's that come from?
So I had like a little sit down with a friend of mine at the time, and it was like my other two brand names came very simply, like the Come Up, the BMX website. That was off the top of my head. I just thought, you know what, I'm just call it the Come Up, and I don't know what the fuck I thought, but it was a very apt metaphor because I like made a lot of BMX kids semi-famous by promoting them through the website and everything. And then with On Some Shit, like I remember I was sitting in the gym doing leg lifts with my buddy Brendan Garone of the hardcore band Incendiary, and he just said like, because I had been talking about wanting to start a brand that would be like a BMX brand, but that would have like, you know, some weed imagery and stuff like that, basically, just because I had a lot of friends smoking a ton of weed. And I just wanted to do like a cool brand that was sort of like be able to represent more of like our aesthetic concerns. And my friend Brendan just goes, you should call it On Some Shit, OSS, and you should rip off this old band shirt for your first shirt. And I did that, and it worked out pretty well, and he never tried to sue me, so I appreciate that.
I like that. Now
but
listen.
but No Jumper is the Gucci Mane lyric. 95 Air Max because I'm a dope running, balling like an athlete, but got no jumper. So that like is from the song Bricks, and I always liked it because like, you think about what he's actually saying. You know, he's balling like an athlete, but got no jumper. It's like no sports ability. Nowadays, Gucci looks like he probably plays sports, but at the time, he's a big fat ass, and he's, you know.
It's amazing how he's transformed, man. He's
That's
come home.
inspirational.
He looks amazing. It's bro, man. Gucci's living life, and I think what he's doing is showing people, and I pray that he stays home because people, for some reason, in our culture, think like. You come home from jail, you want to go back. Like, yo, come home and stay home.
Well, he did that 10 times.
Of
Like, I just read his autobiography, and it's unbelievable. It just keeps happening over and over. He'll get clean for 6 months or some shit, start to get it together, you know. But with Gucci, I don't know. He's a goat to me. Like, this was probably one of the... Damn, when I did that top 5 earlier, I didn't even include him, did I?
Damn.
Fuck.
Combat
made me do my top 5.
Shouts to Combat. You want to sit down with Gucci?
Oh, yeah. I text Todd Moskowitz every once in a while and just remind him that he told me he would try to make that happen. So
yeah,
sooner or later.
When did you start the No Jumper podcast? And what made you want to start it? So
what happened was I was running the BMX website for like 10 years, and, you know, I was just trying to do as good a job as possible with that. But then at a certain point, I started to realize, like, damn, there's a ceiling to this shit. Like, at the end of the day, I'm just doing insular marketing. I'm like making BMX videos for people who already ride BMX bikes. I'm like, that's like, at a certain point, it's not as satisfying anymore. So I thought I was already interested in Combat's podcast. I was listening to you and him on there. I was listening to Rosenberg and the Epstein thing and Seif, yeah. And listening to Joe Rogan had a big influence on me at the time. And I basically was just like, you know what, I could do good BMX podcasts. So I just decided to start doing that. That was almost 4 years ago. And then the second podcast I ever did was this dude Xavier Wolf, who's like an underground legend in the LA scene. He's from Memphis, and we had just become good friends. We were riding bikes together and stuff because he just didn't have anything to do. He's like 19, and we were just kicking it, hanging out. I did his first interview, and that one did really good numbers. A lot of the other underground artists like in the scene and stuff started to hit me up, so I decided to sort of branch out, No Jumper, and I was doing a lot of like up and coming streetwear brands and just different people involved in the sort of youth culture in LA, and that just the rap stuff really started to stick, and people started to really go crazy for that. So that sort of just became more my lane.
One thing I like is you have great content and you have a lot of guests on, but a lot of good variety. You have everybody from like I just seen Action or Peter Rosenberg, but then you'll have like you had Yachty on, right?
Mm-hmm. Yachty's first interview was just Andy Dick on. Andy Dick, that was a good one.
What are some of your favorite interviews you ever done? Well, conversations, because I know they're interviews, but I feel like what we do is like just. I mean, I guess conversations called interviews.
I mean, I could list them off all day, but like I just met Action. He's one of the coolest dudes I ever met. Like I knew he was going to be cool from his music and his TV show and everything, but just feeling the warmth from him as a person was like kind of astonishing. And the way he opened up in the interview, I was like, man, this is my kind of guy. This is a fucking
he's all heart.
A true New York boy who just he's got all the culture fucking oozing out of him.
Bro, he's all heart. Combat.
Love that guy.
We were his first interview. First time,
That's awesome.
Put him on,
Yeah, I've been a fan of him since day one. I just did Wyclef. That's not even out yet, but like he's sitting there playing the fucking No Jumper theme on his guitar. I'm just like, I mean, Wyclef again, just like, holy fuck, you're ridiculously rich. You're so famous, and you're just sitting here being the most normal, cool guy I ever met in my life. It just kind of makes you aspire to not change and not become a weirdo as you get more popular,
You're doing a bunch of things. You're not just doing one thing. You're springboarding. You got the store. You got the podcast. Socially, you're very active. Even with the YouTube, right? How did you get into doing YouTube videos?
Well, I was making like BMX videos for the YouTube channel for a while, and then I started putting the podcast with the BMX riders on there. That was always doing well. I started making some okay money from that, but at the same time, okay money is like I was making maybe $2,000 a month from YouTube for BMX content. And then when I started No Jumper, it's a podcast, but I decided to sort of focus on the visual element as being part of it from the beginning, just because I figured that would help make it stand out. We still put it on SoundCloud and iTunes and everything like that, but it's the YouTube thing. And then at a certain point, I was doing a lot of interviews, but I sort of realized like, oh, I want to be able to make content more consistently, and like vlogging was very big, so I started to make videos of me just sort of living my life. And a lot of times me living my life is like I go meet up with a bunch of rappers in the course of the day, or I go have some meeting. I had a meeting at Vice the other day, and so Vice is in the fucking vlog and stuff like that. I just like,
you're still doing the vlog.
Yeah, I still do it. Sometimes every couple of days I'll do one, and I don't know. I like to like dip my shit into the thing about the vlogs is that the kids just love them. I don't really make any money off them anymore because YouTube's fucking terrible. But
what's the most you ever made with YouTube?
In a month?
I guess so, yeah.
$45,000.
What the fuck?
Yeah, and then that went away, and that hurt.
Why did that go away?
Because YouTube basically just decided that they were just going to become complete and total fucking just superintendents about the content that their ads would appear on, because they had a bunch of brands pull out because of like, certain people just making videos that were monetized, and like Coca-Cola's like, we don't want a fucking video on this. We don't want to ad on this video because this guy made a Holocaust joke, and it's one fucking guy who made a Holocaust joke, but then all of a sudden, like, and I am not kidding, I'm telling you, goddamn near everybody has lost like 90% of the revenue on YouTube, except the people who are making squeaky clean Disney Channel type content. So, and it's not just me, it sucks for me to lose that money, but I'm talking about a fucking guy who makes a video called, Why I Love Being Muslim. And his whole fucking channel gets all the revenue taken away because he puts the word Muslim in the title, and they're just demonetizing shit on a completely bizarre basis. But I mean, for me at this point, it's like I don't need that YouTube money. Like I'm making money from other stuff, so I don't really have to worry about it too much.
Now, obviously, with all the stuff you do, they're going to consider you also like a social influencer. How hard is it to make a living doing that stuff? Because there is available money doing that.
It probably is. I don't really know exactly what it is. I don't really get a lot of those offers. I mean, if somebody... I've done some weird stuff. Like I talked about a fucking video game, like an iPhone game one time in a video, and I got like a check for like $6,000 for talking about a video game for a minute. So, that's cool. I'm down to do stuff like that. But I mean, sometimes I'll get like a little deal to promote like an app or something, and it'll be like, again, like probably something like that. And so that's cool. But I mean, it's just not consistent. Like a lot of times you get a deal like that and you're like, oh, that's fucking sick. I want to get, 2 more of those this month. And it's very, very hard. But once you're gigantic, I think it's a lot easier to pull that kind of stuff. But
when I seen you up in iHeart on the Brilliant Idiots, he told me, he says, you may not remember, but years ago you called me out. And I was like, what? I don't remember calling you out. But one thing and we'll go over that real quick, but one thing I do want to say is, which I am proud of you, and even somebody like It's The Real, I want to give them a shout out too, because there's certain people, when you look at people that are just really authentic and organic, it doesn't matter what color they are. That's one thing I will say about Eric and Jeff from It's The Real, and I'll say it about you, because I don't like, as being Italian, but also obviously white, I don't like white people who try to hate on white people, especially in front of, like, say, black or brown people, to act cool.
Yeah, I
like,
agree.
kind of like, man, fuck, you know, like, just be yourself. And that's one thing I will say about, like, Eric and Jeff from It's The Real. They have been nobody but themselves.
Exactly.
And
that's why I think they're almost universally respected within rap, you know?
And that's why even when I look at you, you know, it's like, keep in mind, you're saying that you're running around with rappers and you're doing this, and it's not about color, it's just about how you're coming off. People respect that person.
Yeah.
And and you can't make that shit up.
Yeah, like I think the thing, it was something where I called somebody a corny ass white boy, but like, you know, I'm being sarcastic. Obviously, I'm a fucking white boy too. I forget, but like, for some reason, you were involved.
I may have read it wrong.
Yeah, you know, you just didn't know me or whatever, and you were just like, that's some sucker shit, hating on your own color or something, and which I actually do agree with now, because I feel like that's kind of like a lame comedic crutch to just fall back on, like, making fun of white people or whatever. But I think it's kind of lame, because a lot of those jokes are the kind of thing that if you remove white and replace it with, like, black or Muslim, it's like the most offensive thing you could ever imagine in your whole life. So I don't really, like, I feel like that's kind of played out. You know, I'm very aware of and accepting of the failings of the white race, but, you know, I just think it's not really, like, productive in the long term to sort of, like, shit on anybody for their race or their color or anything, regardless of if they're in power or if they're, you know, in a different position, you know?
You think about, you know, even like in hip hop, you think about, like, just how much impact the Spanish community have gotten from Big Pun, Fat Joe, you know, Cuban Link. You think about, like, you know, God, there's so many, even this
Lil
young
Pump.
kid. Yeah, I mean, even with a pump.
Technically Hispanic.
Well, but even I like Bodega Bams too. I mean,
that
you know,
guy,
like just there's like, you think about that. There is a Spanish community that loved hip hop.
Huge.
Like
Day
what
one.
Big Pun.
Yeah.
What Big Pun did, except for Rich Chigga. I don't know if he got the Asian community. Is he Indonesian?
Yeah.
Have you sat with him yet?
I hung out with him, yeah.
Yeah?
I didn't interview him, but he's a nice kid, and I feel like the Asian hip-hop world is exploding, and I feel like that's going to make rap itself way bigger, because the Koreans, the Japanese, they fucking love rap now, and they have their own stars.
Yeah. But the only thing I think that people probably weren't taking him serious.
True.
You know, I don't know.
Chicken makes some pretty all right music, though, to be honest.
Yeah?
I think he's all right. I feel like he could go a long way, in my opinion.
Let's move it to the fact of you're running around. Actually, how did you even get to L.A.?
I just decided to move to L.A. after like 7 years in New York. Yeah, I just started thinking about it. There was a lot of reasons, like business-wise, where it would be convenient. A bunch of my friends, like we all lived, like all the kids I would ride with, they would live in Connecticut or Jersey or Boston or whatever, and then they would just come, and I'd have 8 dudes staying on my floor for the weekend in Brooklyn. And at a certain point, it was kind of like, damn, like we could get an apartment in Long Beach and it would be way fucking cheap. These dudes aren't going to move to Brooklyn because they don't have any money. They're living with their parents and shit. They're like all a few years younger than me. So like, you know, it just sort of occurred to me like, damn, we can move to Long Beach, get a big ass house. It's going to be pretty cheap. The whole industry is out there for BMX and everything. So I'll be able to actually like really like build. I was sort of like a black sheep in a way, because I was the only person who was not in LA, basically in the BMX industry at that time in America. It was like, you know, so just there was a lot of reasons, and it also just sort of occurred to me like I've been here for 7 years and there's nothing really holding me here. You know,
So you moved to LA.
moved to Long Beach, had a pretty low key couple of years there, and then moved to LA and started the bike shop. And then we were downtown for 3 years, which, if you don't know too much about LA, downtown is basically like fucking the Walking Dead. It's like a scene from The Walking Dead, because there's so many fucking homeless people everywhere.
Really?
It smells like a dead body everywhere you go. There's a lot of bad things about downtown. It's not really like an accommodating area. There's no fucking parking. So it's like, you know, I would have rappers come to do interviews, and they're like, you know, I'm having like DJ Paul from 3-6 come down and do an interview, and he's saying like, damn, you're really in the slums out here. Like he's horrified, you know, like
Did he bring his barbecue sauce?
He didn't, but I think we talked about it very briefly.
Yeah, he's got a barbecue sauce out.
Yeah, he's a cool guy. I like that guy. But you know, downtown sucks. So then we moved to Melrose and West Hollywood, and that's been about 1 million times more productive.
So did you adapt? Are you officially now adapted to the LA life?
Yeah. I'm a total LA douchebag.
What is the LA life though?
You got to smoke a lot more weed. You got to smoke weed in public. I know people smoke weed here, but
give me
they do
some
it in their room.
restraints. Give me some restraints.
Oh, I don't even pay attention to all this shit. I don't even believe in any of that.
No. So what do you smoke?
It's all the same. I don't fucking know.
Get the fucking
Listen, if you give me a blunt of mid and you give me a blunt of some cannabis cup winning shit, yeah, I could tell the difference.
Yeah, but if you smoke Reggie, you're gonna go to sleep. You fucking get a headache.
I don't know. I feel like I smoke so many fucking blunts in a given day, and I never once consider what the fuck is in it. But you know what? I'm kind of proud because I've been here for 4 days, and I fucking haven't smoked weed at all. Besides, I was in the studio with Smoke Perp. I hit the blunt a few times.
Really?
Drank a little lean, but let's not talk about that.
What other drugs are you doing?
You know, like when we're out drinking, okay, I don't know how popular cocaine is here, but in LA, it's like if you're out drinking, like doing some coke is just the most ordinary thing. So I'll do that a little bit, but you know, I didn't really start drinking and getting fucked up till I was like 25. So I kind of avoided the whole like segment of your life where I think you get really addicted to that shit. So I don't know. I smoke weed pretty much every day, but I've been on this trip and it's been nice not smoking, so that's cool. And, you know, but what I actually like is like the first time I ever did lean, I was like, oh my God, I got to be really fucking careful with this shit because this is like, this is it for me. I'm very up. I'm very like energetic and stuff. And it's nice to be able to sort of slow yourself down a little bit at night. But I mean, if you start doing that sort of semi-frequently, it's a terrible habit.
You ever found yourself, you know, I guess addicted to any drug that you were saying? Because, you know, sometimes we're in denial. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? We're like, I'm good. But then you find yourself doing it all the time.
I feel like I've always been so paranoid about it being addicted to anything that even like I went through this 1 week. There was this girl from Ireland who sort of like flew out and she had this big sack of Xans because she's from fucking Ireland. Yeah, somebody gave them for the plane or whatever. And so me and my roommate just started eating them all. And I didn't really know any better. I thought they were like fucking taking a Vicodin or something. And so over the course, you know, for the next week straight, I'm just chilling with this girl, cuddling, fucking doing nothing, eating ass, just being a total fucking loser, just laying around. And I'm thinking in my head, I'm like, what the fuck got into you? Are you crazy about this girl? Because now you're not working. You're just chilling out. Like, what is this? And then we ran out of Xans. And I drove that bitch home, and I realized that I was fucking brainwashed by the Xanax. And then I was very careful after that because that just made me realize, like, damn, this is some powerful shit. Because not only was I taking it every day for a week, but I didn't realize that it was the reason why I was taking it every week. That's why that shit is dangerous as fuck.
Are you an ass eater?
Oh, yeah. Well, you can ask her that.
Okay. We'll get her on soon. Yeah. Lena or Lana or
he's nice. I mean, to be honest, it's kind of like I haven't had a girlfriend for a year now.
Why is that?
Why do I have had a girlfriend for a year?
Mm-hmm.
Because she's nice, really sweet, really pretty, really fun.
Let me ask you something. Is it hard to be creative if you're with somebody?
I don't think so at all because she's an enabler. Like, she really cares about what I'm doing, and she's like, you know, it's like if I called her tomorrow and I was like, hey, like, I can't see you the next fucking week because I got all this work to do or I got to go on tour. I mean, she gets it. Like, she's not going to.
Sure.
She might be a little lonely, but she's not going to fucking hold it against me. You know, she gets what I'm trying to do.
You need someone who is, you know, understands where you're going.
Yes.
But listen, you talk about, it's funny because you talk about like, you know, coke or you talk about pills. In this day and age, I never would believe, but was it Oxycontin and what else? Percocets.
Those are huge.
You think about it like, and this is the crazy thing, people are committing suicide. People are dying, overdosing. Young kids take. I know kids from Brooklyn, from Staten Island, take 25, 30 a day. Ugh. I'm talking about and those shits are not cheap.
Mm-hmm. No, not at all. The oxys, $50, $60 a pill.
Yeah, I know, bro.
It's a habit that you can't have unless you're fucking robbing people that are doing God knows what.
And the craziest thing is these kids will go to heroin because it's cheaper.
They're way cheaper, yeah.
You know, have you seen that wave out there that way?
You know, not me in L.A., but where I grew up in New Hampshire is like one of the worst places in the world for heroin now.
Really?
So it's like every fucking year I get to hear about a couple more kids I went to high school with who were dying from it. And yeah, it's super scary. I'm glad I never tried that. I mean, people always say like Xans and lean are like pretty fucking close chemically to heroin. So, you know, I know kids who are addicted to fucking fentanyl, which is supposedly 100 times more powerful than heroin.
What the fuck is that?
That's the real shit. Like, it's like a patch that you like put on your arm or something. I interviewed this kid, Slug Christ, who's full blown addicted to it. Tell me all about it. It was crazy.
Let's start with your best drug story. Meaning, like, one of the most highest you ever were. Was it acid? Was it coke?
I mean, yeah, it's probably coke. Like, fucking, they're definitely. I don't know. I feel like there was one moment, and babe, I'm sorry I'm telling the story in front of you and it doesn't involve you, because a lot of my favorite sexual stories are just straight up like me and her getting fucked up and just going out clubbing, and then somehow we bring some girl home and we just are getting like a lot of times.
I can't wait to bring her on the mic. Jeez. When we come back from the break, we're bringing you on the mic.
But there's one that really stands out for me from like maybe 6 years ago, where basically I was seeing a girl. We went to Tijuana. We got a bunch of coke. We started getting drunk. We went to a strip club. The fucking strip club owner like rushes us to the front of the stage because he thought we were hot. All of a sudden, I got my little fucking shrunken coke dick. My girlfriend's sucking it on fucking stage. She's naked. I got this Mexican strippers eating her ass. And like somehow in this whole process, my fucking phone falls out of my pocket. And so when I realize I'm so mad, and I'm just like, I fucking dump out all the rest of the coke in my hand, hoover that shit up. And then my girl, the girl I was chilling with, to her credit, she starts telling the guy, hey, you know, he lost his fucking phone. You owe me 2 girls in a private room right now. So then all of a sudden I'm in this private room in this fucking Tijuana strip club, and I'm banging my girlfriend and these 2 strippers. And it was, I mean, they're on my list of sex partners, it's just like Mexican stripper 1, Mexican stripper 2. So,
bro, you're a fucking rock star, bro.
Yeah, I had no clout then either, so I'm doing this off of nothing.
Really?
Yeah, that wouldn't surprise me as much now, but that was back in the day. That was 7 years ago, 8 years ago.
You know, it's funny because I feel like you have lived the life that you probably haven't explained that well. Meaning, like, you've seen a lot of shit that you just done that people don't know of. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you know, yeah, we're socially out there doing things, but there's a lot of things that I feel like you have done that probably, you know, maybe people don't know of.
It's weird because I feel like I tried and failed at so many fucking things, like throughout the early stages of my life. You know, when I look back at it, it's like when I was 18, I thought like I was going to all these hardcore shows, all these bands, right? And I thought, oh, you know, I'm going to go on tour with them. I'm going to like just get to see the world, travel, sell T-shirts, whatever. You know, I did that for like a month or 2. Didn't really like enjoy it that much. You know, I tried to do the online poker thing for a year or 2. That went okay for a while. I tried to be a scammer. I tried to be a drug dealer. I tried to be a BMX video maker. I tried to be a BMX blogger. So when a lot of people look at it and they're like, oh, you're killing it with this podcast thing, I'm like, yeah, well, you know, the fucking 15th idea I tried had to be the one that would make me a lot of money, yeah.
Sure, I think people see things and they think it's so easy, you know. Yeah. Even like, you know, if the normal podcast is once a week, people don't understand how much it takes to do that, you know? It's a process.
Yeah, it's true. I don't know. You just got to fail over and over and over figuring out what you want to do. Like, you never, like everything I ever fucked up at, I could look back on and be like, yo, that was a very, very good learning experience. Or maybe I didn't have to do that. Maybe I didn't need that learning experience.
You dated porn stars before?
Dating is a...
Oh, did you fuck porn stars before?
Yeah.
You know, I'll be honest with you. For me, I always felt like I had a couple porn stars that I was talking to. And I don't know. It's funny. Like, I guess at that time I was like, damn, I was very attracted to them, but I was like, damn, man, they had mad dicks in their pussy, man, you know? And I'm like, you know, it's funny. You mentioned something off here that we were talking about, like, about getting over a girl when you just see a porn video and she's got, like, 5 people jacking off on her.
Yeah, you're breaking up with a girl and you're sort of, you know, thinking, like, oh, maybe I want to see her again. And then you're like, no, I'm going to go to Pornhub and I'm going to watch 5 dudes nut on her face and I'm going to jerk off and then I'm not going to think about it for a couple of days because that shit is nasty as fuck. And it's just like, it's just an easy way to write her off.
Now how the fuck do you never had did you have a girlfriend that was a porn star?
No, when I first moved to LA, I mean, in LA, dating a porn star, hanging out with porn stars, like hanging out with a fucking waitress. There's so many of them. You know, it's like, and I mean, if you got some coke, then you're probably gonna hang out with a porn star. You probably, you know, you get a nice car, you probably hang out with a porn star. It's not
now
really...
you putting a line on their pussy and then snorting it, or they put it on your dick and snort it.
You know, one time I had a girl try to snort a line off my dick, but my dick was kind of wet from her just sucking it, and the coke all turned into this like putty. And she's trying to snort it up, but it's like paste at this point. That's kind of sad. Like you just wasted some fucking blow, bro.
No.
I wish I had a video of that.
Coke got to be major, like more expensive in LA than New York, right? No?
I mean, $50 a gram, $60 a gram,
God,
I don't know.
Damn.
That's the price you get.
Yeah. Hey, listen.
I don't know what the fuck other people have been.
Listen, you know what? Let's take a quick break. What I want you to do is...
go do cocaine.
I want you to go... I want you to, listen, book yourself an appointment for a tattoo. Make no jumper. Make Adam happy.
Yes.
We're sitting here with the one and only on some shit, Adam22,
hey.
LA's own, formerly New Hampshire's own.
Mm-hmm.
Cheer. Be right back.
Astoria, Bushwick.
Astoria, really? Order?
I love them.
All right, be right
I lived
back.
in Astoria for a couple years, Bushwick.
Yo, what's up? This is the Podfather, a.k.a. C. Diddy, a.k.a. Chris Morrow of the Loudspeakers Network. We're here with, is he the Loudspeakers' very own? We'll have to tune in and see. Premium Pete right here on the Premium Pete Show.
Internets, and we're back sitting here with the one and only Adam22. Could have been Adam 1. Could have been Adam 11. Could have been Adam 34.
The first man.
But it's No Jumper's own.
No.
Yo, is there anybody else on No Jumper? No Jumper should be like a fucking, like a label.
A music label?
Like, no, everything.
You might have just said something somewhat prophetic.
Why?
Not pathetic, but prophetic.
Okay, yeah.
Just because
Word of the day.
A lot of people talk to me about that. You know, the label thing.
How you know what I really admire about you? The young kids. You fuck with the older dudes. You respect the older dudes, and the young kids fuck with you, and you fuck with them.
Yeah, somehow I just like never really lost track of being into what young people are into or wanting to know about the new shit. Like that always just kind of appealed to me, and like I feel like now, especially with like there being so much availability of information, it's like the chase to find out about the new rapper kid who's, you know, the new 16-year-old Savage is like it's a crazy contest, and sometimes you feel like a fucking basketball scout because you're like you're looking at dudes who are not developed. They might be 5% of the way there, but you're like, this kid has got something, you know. And I talk to people from labels a lot, and I actually enjoy like getting into that A&R mentality of like, what, you know, how far along is this kid, or like what else would he need, or what are the things that could help him, you know.
Sure, like fundamentals. That's amazing. I didn't know that you were going that far. Who are some of the kids that you like right now? Who do you think that is up and coming, or who do you think that is doing real well that people may not know of?
I mean, there's a kid named Trippie Redd that I really have a lot of faith that he's going to be kind of a superstar. They compare him to Lil Uzi Vert a lot.
Where's he out of?
He's out of Cincinnati,
okay,
in Ohio. And there's a kid named Killy from Toronto who's very like, he's got some crazy videos on YouTube that are just visually like astounding, and I have a lot of faith in him. I met this girl Rico Nasty the other day from the DMV, and she's a chick who's very, very. She got a bunch of songs going real viral right now, and I have a lot of faith in her. There's a lot, man.
I remember you saying that there's some kids that you met that you feel are not fully there, but they're like almost there, and it's like you're almost like, you know, you're finding out like from people if, you know, what they like. It's like you like you spoke before about being a scout.
Yeah, it's like a lot of times that's what I think people get confused is they'll be like, oh, Adam co-signs a bunch of whack ass, you know, weird rap, and it's like if I'm a lot of the stuff I like, I'm not under the illusion that this could be a top hit, you know. But I look at the artist and they're up and coming or whatever, and I'm like, I like it because he's 10% of the way there. And it's like somebody used the metaphor one time as like it's like you're a high school basketball scout where I don't know jack shit about basketball, but I mean you go to the game, you sit there, you watch some fucking 12-year-old run, and like these scouts can tell, they're like, oh, that guy's gonna be great when he's 18, you know. Sure. So a lot of times I feel like that's it. I'd be looking at a rapper that I genuinely enjoy, and I'd be able to sit there and say, okay, well, if I was in the studio with him, I could have made this song make a lot more fucking sense. I could have told him to replace this part in the verse. I could have told him to make this part the hook. Do this. You know, like there's a lot of things that even I could tell him how to make the song better, but I don't need the song to be a complete product for me to enjoy it. I'm interested in what the kids got going on, you know? Where
do you think you gain that knowledge from?
I just feel like I kind of innately have like an understanding of like how rap should be structured. And like even like a lot of times in the studio with my friends and like they'll like phrase something sort of awkwardly in a lyric, and it took me a while to kind of get the confidence to do it, but I like pull them aside and be like, yo, like, I guess it's just because, you know, maybe I have a little bit more of a background in terms of actually writing and stuff and like how sentences should be structured, how words should be used. I'll kind of pull them aside and say, like, hey, maybe in this line, like if you said this instead of this, and like, you know, I love when I have a relationship with a rapper where we're close enough that they'll actually like respect my contribution.
I listen to you. Yeah.
So I really love that, and it's kind of, I was talking to Dante Ross about it the other day.
Shouts to Dante.
And I said to him, I'm like, you know, I know that you do shit like that. Like, how do you do that? And he was like, well, my thing is, he goes, I know how to use Pro Tools and everything. So if there's a part in the song that I think could use work or whatever, or I can move some stuff around and actually show them how it would sound that way. I thought that was really interesting because then he doesn't have to be confrontational or anything. He can just say, hey, like, look at this little thing I just rigged up here. Because a lot of times people don't realize that the choruses on rap songs are not always the chorus that the artist thought was going to be the chorus. When Future did that fucking Percocet, Molly Percocet, I heard that was not the chorus. And that after the fact, the fucking producer took it out of one of the verses and just made that the chorus, which I think is fascinating. Like, I just love behind the scenes shit with rap in general, you know? Yeah.
Have you directly put on any artists from your platform?
I feel like the biggest artists that we sort of like broke per se, or a lot of the South Florida dudes like XXXTentacion. Like he did his interview, and then he blew the fuck up out of jail while he was in jail, and like people didn't really have that much to go on. He had like 10 songs out, so they kept sort of like referring back to his podcast as like a way to explain who he was. So that's like got like 5 million views. Somebody like Lil Pump and Smoke Perp, they just having like an honest, like organic friendship with them. I felt like that we were a very big part. Like took them on their first tour, did the first Smoke Perp interview, stuff like that. So it's like we have my relationships with these dudes is they're just young kids to me. Like people look at Lil Pump like he's a fucking maniac or whatever, and to me it's like I met him when he was 16, which was like a year ago, and like it's just a kid to me. Like I'm used to being around crazy 17-year-olds with a lot of talent through the BMX shit, So now I'm around Lil Pump and he's rapping instead of doing bike tricks, and it doesn't really seem that weird to me.
Yeah. How important is it to explain to these kids at a young age to brand themselves? Like meaning like not just music, because you're not just doing one thing either. And you understand the game is not just only the podcast. It's the store, it's the branding, it's the working with companies, it's the visual sense.
To be real, like a kid like Lil Pump or X, I mean, they are born with an innate sense of like viral marketing that I'm not sure that any adult could really like go out of their way to obtain. Like somebody like Lil Pump understands Instagram and how to get a lot of likes on Instagram and what kind of caption is going to do well on Instagram to a level that, I'm in awe of, because these kids grew up online. They know that shit. Like they know what's going to work. So in terms of like self-branding and people always complain about like, oh, it's all image now. It's not really about the music. There's a lot of truth to that, because a lot of these kids, it's just, they're so good at marketing themselves that becomes like such a gigantic part of the game.
I didn't ask you before, off topic of where we are now. When did you get your first tattoo? And where was it?
My first tattoo was like a eagle on my calf, and it said "True Till Death" because I was still straight edge at this time. At 18, I thought I was capable of making decisions about what I was going to do until I died, which seems kind of funny now. It's halfway covered up by a big ass gorilla though, and I kind of want to get another tattoo on the back of my calf that would cover up the other part of this little eagle. It was just an outline. It cost me like $100.
Is there somebody that did it? You ever had Mr. Cartoon do any tattoos?
Nah, if I did, I might fucking want to start watching out what neighborhood I go to in LA. Fucking all his tattoos are fucking crazy ass cholo, scary Hispanic tattoos. I look at those and I'm like, damn, that's like a whole other world of tattoos to me.
Is there somebody that like is pretty famous from tattoos that you gotten from?
There's a tattoo shop that I always stand for that I wish I could still get tattooed by, because they're in fucking Brooklyn. It's on Smith Street. Fucking there's a guy named Eli Quinners and Steve Bolts. I think they both still tattoo out there. There's a guy named Burt Crack, and they're all like just the illest OGs in terms of like traditional tattooing in New York. And even when I get tattooed in LA, like I'll ask Eli, I'll be like, yo, who am I getting tattooed by in LA, because I trust their opinion so much. And like those dudes to me are the coolest tattooers I ever met in my life, and the fact that they do it off Smith Street is pretty amazing. So they honest to God, the reason why I got so many damn tattoos is because I met this dude Eli and just got along with him so well that I was just completely comfortable going to him every week or two for a long time in Brooklyn. Even though now I'm in LA, I'm totally out of the routine of getting tattoos. Like I want to get my whole back done, but man, it's like that's like a horrible day followed by a bunch of pretty shitty days after that. So
you're gonna need a couple of fucking Xanax for that.
Oh, easy. Yeah. Easy, yeah.
You get tattoos straight up, or you got to be high or drunk?
No, I got fucked up. I don't really fuck with pills that much. When I get tattooed, oh yeah. We're drinking liquor, we're taking Xans, we're taking pain. It's bad, bro. Like I'm fucking on it. You know what they told me? They told me that Molly's the one to get tattooed on.
Really?
Yeah, because think about when you're on Molly, you start fucking grabbing the girl's leg, you're squeezing it. Things that hurt feel good when you're on Molly. That's what they told. I never tried it, but I think it's a fucking brilliant.
Who got an ill back tattoo? Ben Bowler.
Oh, down. Wait. I thought you said to get a back tattoo of Ben Bowler.
No. Oh, you would?
Yeah, sure. I interviewed him. I hung out with him one time. Why not? I got him some bikes because he's all about these SE racing bikes, and I plugged him with SE. So supposedly he's getting a bunch of bikes from him.
Yo, Ben is. I know Ben. Ben is. One thing I like about Ben is I feel like he's done a lot back in the day, and he's still doing a lot today. So, there's something to say that for somebody, longevity is something that people don't even value, but he's definitely that type of dude. And he's a good overall dude. Yeah. Crazy dude, but a good dude. Father.
I like that he can go viral every month for like making a new chain for somebody. Yeah. Like he just
with the black glove.
Always. Always goes viral, yeah.
It's crazy,
no matter
right?
what he does. I love that.
You like Young Dolph?
I do love Young Dolph, yeah.
Have you sat down with him yet?
No, and I would like to, even though I'm a big Black Youngster fan too, even though they try to kill each other or whatever. Supposedly, allegedly.
What about Uzi?
I love Uzi. I actually got Uzi's email from a girl I was hanging out with, like back when Uzi first started popping off, because I had seen him play a show in LA and got like almost no response. Like nobody gave a fuck at all. It was a couple of years ago, and like I just was listening to his music. I'm like, this is the fucking dude. Like this is it. Got his email from this girl. Totally thought I was gonna be able to get the interview. Never got a response. I was right. He is absolutely fucking huge now. I wish I had the interview to prove that I knew.
People who see the No Jumper podcast, they see the store, they see you doing your thing, hanging out with a bunch of different people, moving around, moving and grooving. What are some of the things that you would say, that made you become more successful? Because with every success, there's failures. What are some of the stuff that was some trying times for you?
Trying times, man. I remember
you lost a podcast.
Yeah.
I remember you told me, right?
Well, you know what the bad shit was probably like 6 years ago, 7 years ago. I felt like there's so many things I want to do in my life. I want to have a bike shop. I want to fucking really get serious about my clothing line, blah, blah, blah. And that's when I started fucking really shipping packs back to the East Coast again and fucking selling Coke at the bar and doing all this shit for a while just to make more money, And I got out of it like clean. I made a lot more money from it for a period of time. But then I don't know. It's just like when I look back at it, I'm like, what the fuck were you doing? You were so impatient to like get to the next level that you just completely like took a chance that could have ruined everything, And that wasn't that long ago either. And I just like look at that. When I look back at that, I feel like almost like that was like a type of depression for me.
Sure. That
I like felt the need to lash out. I went reading Gucci's autobiography. He's talking about that too. He's talking about he's still selling drugs when he's a fucking multi-platinum rapper or whatever. He still kept going back to it. And like at the lowest points in his life, somehow like doing some stupid street shit was like therapy for him. It was very dangerous therapy.
Yeah. And just it's a tough test to go back down that road, and patience is super important. I think people they look at somebody who's doing something. Even me. I try to preach patience. Something I'm still learning. But the point I'm making is people look at I remember, and I give you this example. I remember somebody from Dallas, a friend of mine. Somebody seen him online at some sneaker release and was like, "Oh, Premium Pete?" And he's like, "Yeah." He's like, "Yo, is that kid rich?" And he's like, "Rich? Nah." He's like, "Why you say that?" He's like, "Oh, I see he puts lobster up on his Instagram and this and what." So the point I'm making on that is people automatically think everything is gravy. People don't understand. And you know what? Sometimes it's our faults.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you why. Because we don't always put our failures on Instagram. We even girls, I have a daughter 17 years old. She'll fix her hair, take it, no. Take it, fix her hair, no. Take it, no. So she'll wait until she gets the best picture. She's not going to put the picture of her looking, you know what I mean? So we give our best to Instagram, not our worst. But meanwhile, our worst made us get to our best.
Right, and I don't, if something really sad happens to me, it's like I probably don't want to share that on Instagram, you know? And
Sure.
If I lose somebody or if something goes bad for me in my life, I don't look at the internet as this place where I just want to spill all my fucking bad things or good things that go on in my life. Like the podcast, I'll sit here and tell you every fucking bad thing that's ever happened to me. I'm trying to be as open as possible. If something bad happens to me, if I'm going through something, I'll just talk about it. But yeah, on Instagram, it's very different. You're curating like a very, very refined, and it's really like you get rewarded. Like the more high quality your photos are, the better your clothes are, the better the girls that you're standing around. You get more likes, you get more followers. You start to feed into that. You think you need to be that, and it's, a lot of life is fucking, a lot of the most important shit in life is sacrificing, which I think a lot of people don't get, is that I'm where I'm at because I sat in my fucking room until 7 o'clock in the morning reading shit online and sitting there thinking about what I was going to do with my life and thinking about what I was going to do and, sacrificing all the easy good times. Even with the podcast, it's like, a lot of times, I was doing all my own editing. I was doing everything up until very recently. And it's like, when I think about it, I could have been out partying. I could have been just chilling with my friends. And instead I was, doing these grueling.
Yeah, but you put the work in. It's part of the reason why.
But a lot of people don't want any fucking work, and they just want to make one song and they want to pop off. And it's like, bro, you need to make 200 songs and then put one song out. Yeah. Like you need to fucking really, you need to work. You need to grind. A lot of kids are completely removed from that.
It's always what's next. You're talking about the podcast. You're talking about social media. You definitely have a great audience. What's the craziest shit you're seeing from your audience?
Oh my god!
Because people feed into those comments, bro. People tell you some shit, man. Adam's a jerk off. Adam's an asshole. Adam's this, and then people show love. But sometimes you feed into that shit.
I got kids come. I never owned a pair of Jordans in my life, which I know might be offensive
Really?
to you. Well, one pair of Supreme Jordans that I got like as a joke, like less than a year ago. But I got kids come up to me on the street giving me Jordans. I'm like, damn.
Really?
I'm like, what the fuck am I supposed to do with these? I tried wearing them. I feel like they're too big for my feet. I've been wearing Vans my whole life. It's kind of hard for me to accept that.
Yeah.
And I know that probably offends you as a sneaker guy.
No, yeah, I know it does a little bit. It does not in this day and age anymore. You know why? Because Jordans are legendary.
Mm-hmm.
They'll always be legendary. Basketball shoes, particularly, are very hard to sell these days. But Jordans are more fashionable, and so they'll always be relevant. I feel like. But come on, we're in a day and age and I'm happy that we're here today, where Adidas is doing their thing, where Vans. Well, Vans has always been, Vans, but you're seeing people like there's more out there, and there's more options. And you shouldn't just want to be one of those kids that just want to, not meaning you, but I'm saying in general, I think there's some people that stay brand heavy, man. Come on, wear what you want. It's like, with girls, like, sometimes, like, I remember when I was single, man, I used to get cravings to, like, be with different nationalities. Like, one week I wanted to be with an Asian girl, next week I wanted to be with a Spanish girl, next week I wanted to be with an Indian girl. I wanted that curry. You understand what I'm saying? Like, what about you? Have you been with multiple different nationalities?
Oh, yeah, I think probably damn near all of them.
Have you ever thought about that? Like, damn, I never been with an Indian girl. I got to go be with an Indian girl.
Nah. I wish that I could think of like a type that I hadn't maybe experienced, but I think I've been pretty well-rounded in my fucking career. I was telling her that she's racist because we never hooked up with a black girl together.
Really?
There was one half black girl. Why are you lying?
Okay.
Oh, yes, you're right. Okay, you're good.
Now, just so we introduce to the audience, this is your girl, right?
Run of the plug.
Okay, you're the plug. Now, your name is Lena, right?
Lena.
How is it Lena if it's Lena?
You gotta call my parents.
She's a scammer.
Okay, you are a scammer. So listen, Lena, where are you from, Lena?
From Glendale, California.
And what is it? What is it like being the girlfriend to Mr. Adam22, the fucking rock star, crazy weirdo motherfucker?
Right.
There's a lot of things I have to repeat to myself in silence when he says a bunch of crazy shit in front of me.
Okay.
It's for the lulz. Like if he says something wild and I'm like, wow, that was really
like,
offensive.
come over here and fuck me.
No,
she's talking more
like,
about the podcast.
Yeah, because his job is to be like an oversharer and tell these stories on the podcast, and especially if it's like a story from way back when or whatever. I've heard them almost all of them, like multiple times. But sometimes he'll say something wild, and I'm like, this is his job, Like I just remind myself.
You were talking about being competitive. What was that story you were talking about?
He is like he sees having sex as like gaining access to something that he thought he couldn't have. Like it's like a competition to
it's
gain.
Like a bonus level. Yeah, unlock a level.
So
I
like
that.
he has kept track of every girl he's ever slept with. He knows his number, right? But he was like, I don't want to count it.
Hold on. What's the number?
That's sealed. Those documents
I
are
know
sealed.
it. But yeah, so we were on his podcast with two other girls, and he was like, don't you think it doesn't count if you paid for it? And me and the girls look at each other like, no, because, you had sex. Like, the act happened. And he was like, no, because he didn't have to, like, he cheated, basically.
He cheated,
the game.
He cheated the system.
But the way that they view sex partners is that those are opportunities that you had to get an STD. So in that way, a prostitute is probably even more relevant because it's probably more likely.
How did you just meet each other?
I DM'd him, but like it was for work, so everyone.
She says that with such shame. Like,
know,
it's
right?
so bad that you wanted to holler at me.
I mean,
but how did she get your attention? Because I'm sure you've been DM'd before.
That ass, though.
Oh.
I know. I figured that there was probably.
Did you send him an ass picture?
No.
No, I really DM'd him for work. Like I had to do outreach to podcasts and radio, so I like emailed him, and then I also DM'd him in case he didn't check his email, and then
And then I was like, "Yo,
And
let's go get dinner sometime."
yeah, he was like, "When are you going to buy me some drinks?" So like,
did I really say that?
Yeah.
Oh, that's fire. Hell
and then
yeah.
we went to a podcast as our first date.
Yeah, I got interviewed by fucking Gangsta Boo and Jackie Chain
Really?
for my first ever time hanging out with her. Isn't that weird?
That was fun. I thought it was fun.
Yeah, I mean, God, what could make you look cooler than that?
Now, obviously, I mean, I think he's expressed that earlier in this episode. But you like girls too?
Yeah, I had my only other serious relationship I've ever been in was with a girl for 4 years when I was in college.
What's the difference from being with a guy and being with a girl?
Penis. There's a penis.
Well, there's
on
a
the
penis,
goddamn-
but I think I'm still like mostly straight because even with girls, I'm like more into them if they're like more masculine looking. I mean, we obviously hook up with
What?
very,
Like a butch?
Well, I'm not. I never hook up with those girls, but
I
I
never hooked up with like a Ellen DeGeneres type
no,
together.
no. But I recognize that, like, even in being attracted to certain women, that it just further solidifies the fact that I'm more straight.
But why do such hot girls, like super butch girls? Like, I'll give you an example. Like my sister, she's straight. She's married to a girl. And her girl, you know, I tell her, I don't know if you know who Captain Lou Albano is, but I say she looks like Captain Lou Albano. But the great thing about it is I'll never forget one time when I just met her, I came over to the house. And my sisters, they're Italian, so they're very like, you know, what do you need? You want some, you know, meatballs? You want some this?
Yeah.
So I had asked her to get me something, and I guess she took it personal, like, you're asking my wife, you could get up and get it yourself. So my sister was like, relax yourself. And then all of a sudden, about 2 seconds later, she says, hey, babe, let me get some fucking meatballs. And I'm like, what the fuck is this girl? And she had like a hand on her pants, and she was like, my wife makes the best fucking meatballs. And
So
I'm
she's
like,
posturing as the male in the relationship.
yeah, but I didn't understand it. And at that time, I mean, she's a great girl. I love her. But you know, both of my sisters are lesbian. Both of my sisters are married. That's what's crazy.
Yeah,
like,
that's
you know,
very
Wow.
statistically unlikely.
yeah. And you know, it's so funny too, because it's like, you know, growing up in an Italian, you know, I don't know how the fuck this came about me, but growing up in an Italian.
I want to have dinner at your house, actually.
Yeah.
I
Forget
think.
about it,
You
no
know, I was
problem.
thinking about the meatballs. I'm like, damn, I bet your mom knows what she's doing and shit. Yeah.
Listen,
Yeah.
Mom's wears an apron to bed. She knows what she's doing. You know, but I will say this. You know, people have asked me over time from being Italian that, you know, especially when I grew up in I grew up in Coney Island, then I moved to Bensonhurst. You know, there's a lot of, you know, like it was very race driven at that time, and they always ask me, like, you know, because my lady is Trinidadian, you know, so my, you know, like my first daughter is half Spanish and half Italian, and then my son is half Trinidadian and half Italian. So they always ask me, what did your father or what did your parents think about, like, you know, not, you know, being with an Italian girl? I'm like, bro, both of my sisters are gay. They're both married. You know what I mean? Like they seen.
But what did you think your parents would rather see their child be with a African American person or a
You know what? One thing I will say for Italians, and this is not normal because a lot of them are judgmental.
Yeah.
My parents were great, man. They were like, hey, listen, whoever you want to be with. You know, I was a knucklehead, so if I found somebody that held me down and you know, I got along with and kept me sane, they were all with it, and I'm glad they were. And I'll be honest with you, I think that we forced them to be that way.
Yeah.
They
Because
have to adapt for you. They love you guys. You know?
Yeah, but I don't even.
I really feel like I hit the fucking lotto with parents in terms of open-mindedness, because my parents were the types who I could have never said anything racist, anti-gay, whatever. Like, I remember I made like I was listening to Howard Stern all the time. He's clowning himself for being Jewish all the time.
Yep.
And I tried to make like a little Jewish joke to my parents one time because my dad's boss was Jewish as fuck and wore the yarmulke at work and everything. And my parents, like 15 minutes, called me upstairs, sat me down, and like, listen, you're listening to Howard Stern. We get it. You're not allowed to make that joke. You're not Jewish. It's not fucking funny. It's not okay to stigmatize people or put them in a bucket, even if you think it's a positive one, like, oh, you think they got money, whatever. It's like my parents, I'm so thankful because I remember every time that they ever fucking called me out on saying something that was over the line, and like, you know, that's pretty uncommon for like parents in like the early 90s and shit, you know, to really understand how fucked up that was. But I got good, hardcore liberal Democrat parents, thank God.
To keep it real with you, that's even dope. But let me ask you, so you said you had a relationship with a girl
Yeah.
for a couple of years.
Yeah.
Is what they say true? Like, you know, where it's like it's nothing like a woman's touch. They know how to, like. Did that girl eat pussy better than Adam eats pussy?
Probably,
No.
probably more.
No, I don't think so. I'm like more sexually attracted to him and just dudes in general. So
I think she went off to college. She became a feminist.
Yeah.
She starts dating a
Yeah.
girl. It's like a weird college fling thing, I think.
I was discovering myself. You know, I didn't shave. I didn't wear makeup. I had a girlfriend. I was
What, you didn't shave? What are you going retro?
I was pissed off.
Okay. Now let me ask you something. You living and just being partners together, and I'm sure it's got to be a crazy type of run sometimes. How do you deal with like other girls trying to be around him, or even better? You know, I know you had threesomes before.
I feel like
What about guys?
No.
I mean, oh, no, guys.
Okay.
I don't fuck with dudes.
No, I don't mean
Maybe
you.
you,
I don't
Pete.
mean
Maybe you.
Get the fuck out of here. Sir. No, I don't mean.
No, I'm saying, I don't know. I mean, like, she's very open-minded when it comes to like.
I'm the dick manager.
But from day one, I had a ton of girls that I'm friends with that are like people in my life. I'm in the store all fucking day. She knows exactly what it is. It's like a fucking mall with 100 girls walking past every day, talking to me, my friends. It's like she's got to be pretty confident in herself to be able to date somebody like me, knowing that I'm like just talking to random girls. I'm on tour. It's not like I'm fucking not talking to people, you know. And I'm not talking to them like that. I ain't really trying to like fuck random girls or whatever, you know. It's kind of. You know.
I just knew from the beginning, like, this is the kind of relationship where I could never be mad if there just happens to be girls around because, you know, it's like a rap show or something. Or I can't be mad if he has a picture with some girl because she's a fan. You know, it's
Sure.
So if I wanted to be like mad and worried about all those little things, then I would just drive myself crazy. But I feel like for us, it's cool because we just hang. If he wants to hang out with the girl and I want to hang out with the girl, we just do it together.
Yeah.
You know?
See, you have a sister?
Yeah. She's
No, because,
not-
you know, I'll be
You got
honest.
A King going for a cousin too.
I know.
Jeez.
Everyone's like,
Be
I'm the
careful,
black sheep in my family. They kicked me out, so
They did?
They're not gonna.
That's all right.
They'll come back. They'll come back.
You're now part of the On Some Shit LLC. You're okay.
That is what it is too. Good guess.
But let me ask you, most people fight in relationships. Because you have such an open relationship, do you fight?
Oh yeah, we fight sometimes. Not like.
But I would say like we don't fight about the shit that that a lot of other people would argue about, you know, because it's like she's not gonna scream at me. Like even if she found out that like we had a weird ass situation where basically like me and my friend fucking ran a train on some girl on tour, and then that friend is such a fucking idiot that he just started talking about it on the podcast. But it was so good that by the end of the podcast, I decided that I couldn't take it out of the podcast. And then I just called her and I was like, listen, like you talked about this shit. She kind of already like suspected it or whatever.
I knew the night it happened because you're stupid and you tweeted something that she retweeted something that she had tweeted. But it's like after I like rewarded him for being honest with me when he told me, he's like, listen, this is what happened. I was like, I feel so much closer to you, but thanks for being honest with me. I don't know. I feel like.
But I was like, I thought that was really cool because I mean, I was straight up about it. Like, you know, I didn't want her to know, but then once it was kind of out there, I was like, you know what, like. It was weird. I was like, I got to sacrifice your feelings for the content.
Sure.
'Cause I could have took it out.
But it's also because I know that doesn't matter. You know, it's like you fuck a girl on tour, she's a fan. Okay, then what?
See, but you're awesome. You are.
There's not a lot of girls that would say that.
But let me ask you, you know, even Adam, you know, you're moving around, you're grooving around. I know what it is. You know, you could just, you guys argue. You could just be like, listen, leave me the fuck alone and just go. But I'll be honest with you, too, and I don't know if you experienced this yet. But even though you're moving and grooving, sometimes when you don't have somebody real, you're actually lonely.
Oh, hell yeah.
You know,
I think about how I was feeling like before her and everything. Yeah, I was lonely for like a long time in the sense that
even though you were around people.
Yeah, and you know what you try to do when you're single is you try to like fuck all these random girls and you try to like piece together emotionally some sort of like level of comfort. You try to convince yourself that, you know, if you got 7 different girls that you're fucking, that somehow that's going to make you feel like they actually really care about you. And maybe they do to some extent, but you're fucking dragging them through the mud. You're fucking with their heads. You know, and it's like once I actually like really like allowed myself to be with her and feel comfortable with her, it's just really kind of it actually in an awesome way just cleared my mind and allowed me to really focus on what I'm doing business wise because I don't like have that thing in my head that it's like, oh, if I'm not getting pussy or I'm not chasing after some girl, then I'm not doing what I need to be doing as a man. Now it's like, you know, me and her could go hook up with some girl, or I could only hang out with her for a fucking month straight, and I don't really give a fuck about like, you know, the whole like sex thing seems like more fun and recreational because I already got the fucking intimacy part of that established.
And an open-minded girl. Now, listen, we need to know the rules for a threesome. What are some of the fucking rules?
We've been talking about this all day, so I feel like.
Let the internets know.
Do you want to go?
Well, at least from our perspective, it definitely helps if the girl approaches her as opposed to me.
I want to be in charge of all pre-threesome communication and post-threesome communication.
Do you have a meeting beforehand?
No, but I do like to hang out with the girl either one-on-one before or like all of us like go hang out, go to a show or something beforehand. You know, because I know that dudes are like, oh, whatever, I could just fuck a girl without really getting to know her. But I feel like girls really have to get to know.
She's been a little like let down when she fucked a girl and then like realized that the girl was a super big weirdo afterwards. And,
Yeah,
was just
like
being real clingy and weird.
Like, oh man.
It's like, but from our perspective, it's like we rarely would just like tell a girl like, oh, let's have a threesome. We just be like, hey, I'll be like, or she'll be like, hey, you want to hang out Saturday night? We're gonna go to this club. We're gonna go to the show. You want to roll with us? We go. We end up having a good time. It either actually, I don't think it's ever not happened in that scenario.
No,
but it's like
last 4 weekends it happened.
Take us through that. Take us through that. So what would be the last? Take us through the.
There was the weekend like, so me and this girl were supposed to hang out, and we both do like a private Snapchat thing, sort of like a cam girl thing. Me and her are supposed to hook up. All of a sudden, he texts me. He's like, "Hey, like if you need another co-star, like my dick is available." So then he comes over.
You know you were gonna tag me in anyway.
Yeah. But anyways, then the other girl calls over her other friend, and then we're all just drinking tequila in my room, and he's like, "Oh, I'm not going to play. I'm just going to film you guys." And he's just like filming us, and then all of a sudden it becomes
Well,
like...
she can't fucking control herself. All of a sudden she's like,
It's
"Hey,
true. I'm,
you guys
like,
want to try
reaching."
his dick out?" Because obviously
Yeah.
I'm filming by a fucking 30-inch fucking boner and like
That's my favorite when I like, because me and him will probably start hooking up first, and then I'll just like look at the girls and be like holding his dick. I'm like, "Hey, so you guys want to try this?" Like I'm handing them an ice cream cone or something, and they like look at me like, "Oh, is she serious?" Like,
And
this is a
in that
trap.
moment, I have achieved tranquility. And I've become all that I have ever wanted out of life. And I could, if a lightning bolt fucking cracked my skull open at that moment, I'd be like, all right. It's a good way to go.
I listen. I will say this: having said all this, and go through the highs of threesomes, the highs of success, the highs of podcasting, the highs of just being creative, being an entrepreneur. You know, and we spoke a little bit about it. But have you ever dealt with depression, like recently?
Recently, not really. It's been kind of a while. I mean, I'll go through some shit. Like I threw my back out real bad like a couple months ago, and I couldn't really walk around too comfortably for like a week or two. I mean, that made me feel fucking depressed because I wasn't able to get up off my ass and go fucking work and shit. I mean, real depression. I don't know, because I know real depression. I've been through that shit. Like
Sure.
back, I've had breakups that left me feeling very fucking like wounded. More like I just didn't know how to. Sometimes you get so depressed you can't even fucking leave the house and shit like that.
Sure.
To
Become
be
a
honest,
homebody.
I don't really feel like I've had that in a long time. I'm so focused. I wake up every day like just overflowing with energy and just wanting to do stuff. So it's like I feel like if anything, my problem might be that I could be depressed and I wouldn't really get it. Like I wouldn't really like take the time to notice.
Yeah,
and I might I've noticed that before where I was in a bad mood. I was sad. I was pissed off. And I start being a dickhead to my friends and my employees. And like luckily like I had one situation where they had a little intervention with me, and this is a couple of years ago, and it seems like distant fucking memory because I can't imagine being like rude to them in the way that I used to be. Where they sat me down at a certain point, and were like, "Yo, you're being a fucking bitch. You're acting like a dickhead." And these are my employees and my business partner, but they were like, "You're being like really negative, and it's kind of making it hard for us to like enjoy working here." And I just, I really took that to the heart. I'm like, you know what? Like, really made me completely like rethink my management style and how I deal with people that I work with. And I thought that was really good because now when I think about I think about what all my employees would say if you were to ask them like, what does Adam like to deal with, and I think that they would all say he's fucking great to deal with, he's very easy to work with, and just at a certain point I realized like, oh, I'm never gonna get a good result out of the people working for me if I'm fucking telling them they're dumb sometime. Like this is telling somebody they're an idiot is very rarely gonna get your point across or very rarely get you what you want.
One thing I like about your journey is that people keep it real around you. And I like that, like from what I'm hearing, and people have really fucking told you what it is, and gave you a chance to be who you are today. Because I feel like sometimes if you have phony people around you, man, it really hinders your success, man.
And that's what people start doing is they start getting popping, they get money, they start kicking out all the real people out of their life, and then just keeping the people around who are just going to suck their dicks. And I got plenty of people that are just trying to be around me for fucking clout or whatever. Sure. And I get it, but a lot of the people I'm around, I've been around for 10 years or 5 years or whatever, it's like, I like my friends who, I'm way more into hanging out with my friends who are quick to call me out on my bullshit than, one of my friends who, like, is just going to act like everything I say is fucking great. A lot of the people who've known me since I was nothing, like we went and met with my friend Brendan, who I lived with for 4 years in Brooklyn the other day, and it's like, I mean, he's probably got the realest perspective on me of anyone that I like still consider my friend. I've been friends with him for fucking like 15 years, and like really, really good friends. And I mean, I'm sure you could tell like when we're sitting there having a conversation, like he is 0% afraid to call me out on my bullshit, but at the same time, very quick to compliment me on the shit I have done because he's seen the whole fucking journey. Like when you meet people and make friends late in the journey, it can be weird.
It could be weird, but sometimes it is amazing too. I feel like the internet has afforded that. There's ups and downs to it. We need to find out before we end this episode about the sex tape. The legendary sex tape. It wasn't the Ray J and Kim Kardashian tape. It wasn't. What other tapes are there?
I feel like we have so many leaked different tapes, but I think the tape is the one of us with the girl who has tattoos. Is what you're thinking of. Have you seen this?
No.
Well, okay, but he probably knows about the fact that she made a video
Oh, that's
saying,
what he's talking about. Okay.
"I'm gonna we will make a sex tape if both of us get to 1 million subscribers on YouTube, right?" And so, honestly, like when she asked me about it, I was like, "Yeah, fucking make the video. I don't care," because I didn't think it was gonna be a big deal. Like her channel at the time had very, very few subscribers, I think, and she said that, and all of a sudden it's on fucking
World Star,
Complex, fucking everything on Earth. Everyone wrote a story about it, and her subscribers blew up way past mine. Now she's at about 980,000, and I'm at about 830,000.
Yeah.
So we're both pretty close. And but the thing is that we've, because she makes a living on private Snapchat, basically. I don't know if you know how this
Tell
works.
us about that.
Yeah.
So basically, people pay a subscription to be my friend on Snapchat, and it's like a monthly recurring thing.
Private
much is
account.
something like
She's
that?
got a public account as well, but the private account.
It's
yeah.
$29.99. You can buy it at lenasplugs.com. And
a month, motherfucker.
Yes.
We eating good.
And then I add them as my friend, and then I post stories every day that they can watch, and they're always like nude stories, and then sometimes me and him will have sex on there.
Really?
So then that's the stuff that leaks that people think is the official sex tape.
Yo, but her shit will explode when we fucking do one of these threesomes. Like we did
Yeah.
one with this little chick, this girl Taylor. She's got tattoos. She's like a little different, much different style than her. She's more light skinned. Jesus Christ! Like she got so many motherfucking subscriptions from that alone. And then the video of it, people end up uploading it on different places and everything. Everybody's talking about it. Like, I don't know. Like we've been actually a little conservative with the putting threesomes on Snapchat thing, considering the fact that when we did do it, it exploded beyond belief.
If a girl wants to hook up with us and she's okay with us filming it and uploading, she has to know that like a lot of people are going to end up seeing it because we were trending on Pornhub for like over a week.
Shouts to Pornhub. Hey, listen, what when you say $29.99, like what do they get? Like they get shots of you like just naked, or
they get to watch whatever I filmed for that day. So it's like almost like a cam show, but it's not live. So like it'll be the whole thing, like the tease with the clothes on and then take it off, and
she'll re-upload like the sex tape type stuff once in a while too.
Oh, I do. I do.
So it's like you just basically sorry. Like you'll have I get why guys like it, because when I watch porn, even from like a really young age, I've always found the fact that it felt so fake, kind of like a weird turnoff.
And they could talk to me because they could chat with me, so they get that too.
Yeah, she'll send them a little flick back. That kind
really?
of stuff,
But how do you feel about other dudes watching her?
I don't even think about it.
No, doesn't bother you.
No, thanks, appreciate it. You fucking simp. Nah, I fuck with him because that could be me. If I wasn't fucking her for real, if I had fucking acne and fucking I was 400 pounds heavier, then maybe I'll fucking.
Sometimes
be doing
there's
that.
fans that be like, "Yo, Adam the Goat." They'll just message me on there. They know.
Hey, any of my fans that pay for it, I'm more than that's great. Thank you.
Hey, listen, we got to get a subscription, see what the fuck is going on. But when you're in there,
slide
we'll send you the link.
Slide Pete one. Slide Pete a link. That's a brag my friend sent to me. He goes, "Man, I got all these private bitches, all these private Snapchat bitches for free." And he's like, showing me his phone. It's like all these girls' names I recognize. He's like, "I got all these." I'm like, "Damn, I probably could be getting a bunch of those too if I fucking thought about it or cared."
Yeah, you don't even watch mine.
now,
I have it though. I have it now.
Is there a wish list of like somebody that you want to mess with, or as far as a girl, or?
Ooh, yeah.
I have a crush on this girl called The Real Kim J. She's like a curve model from New York that actually follows me back on Twitter, so maybe one day, but I don't know.
Is she mess with girls, or you don't?
I don't
know?
even know, actually. Probably not. Maybe not. I assume most girls don't really mess with girls.
She got a
What?
crush.
Nah,
on,
that's not a
she got
bad.
a crush on this like famous YouTuber named Tana Monjo.
I do not have a crush on Tana Mojo, by the way. Who else would I've never really thought about this.
Yeah, like what about Rihanna? Like how excited would you be for that? Oh, or would that fuck you up because you'd be like, oh, maybe he's gonna want him away?
Yeah, I really don't want her to have more followers than me, to be honest. I gotta have the upper hand.
more followers. Damn, that sucks.
Do you so you like controlling the sexual aspects?
I mean, this is my relationship, so I can't really be bringing in Rihanna or Beyonce and then thinking it's gonna go over well. I don't know.
I like how me fucking Beyonce is now a realistic theme.
I know what the fuck is going on here. Queen
Sorry,
Bee.
Jay.
Sorry,
Jay,
Queen.
don't listen to her.
Sorry, Queen Bee. Let me ask you, have you ever had to deal with stalkers?
No, not
God,
yet.
bro.
Thank God. There are so many crazy predators out there, but no stalkers yet for me.
I had an ex who had a stalker and it fucking ruined her life for a couple of years. I was having to hear her talk about it every day. It was insane. So I'm thankful as fuck that she hasn't had to deal with that.
What's the craziest girl that you ever dealt with? Because I'm sure you have dealt with some crazy fucking girls.
I mean, well, how much, like, I could give you specific stories. I don't even know, man.
The craziest girl. Craziest story.
Jesus Christ.
The meth head, the fucking ex that ruined you. I could think of them.
Yeah. There's one, like, porn star girl that, like, just really was a real piece of shit. And she just stands out. She was a secret meth head the whole time. And I didn't really know about meth like that, so I didn't really know. So that was weird. But, I mean, it was cool. But she was also real weird because, like, I don't know. It's just like, there's so many stories that are just flooding my brain. I can't even begin to think of what would be, like, the appropriate one for the scenario. Yeah. I don't know.
Well,
they're all
that's okay.
They're all capable of insane behavior here and there, you know.
Well, the one that broke you. Remember you said, how did that even happen? Because
who broke me? I hate that I have to
I know.
give
I'm
this
sorry.
credit. Yeah, no, it's true though. Like there was like a whole thing I went through when I first moved to LA or to Long Beach specifically, where I was a girl I was seeing for like 3 or 4 months, like real intense, like really spending all this time together and stuff. And then like she kind of like just dumped my ass. You probably, if you want to hear a more detailed version of this, you can listen to Combat Jack's podcast. But she fucked me over. Just fully was like dating this other guy. Like the whole time she was dating me. And then I figured it out at a certain point, and I was really into her. So that shit just fucked me up like real bad. And like it kind of fucked up like my ego. Like my whole ego kind of went away. All this shit that I believed about myself and how fucking important what I was doing with my life, it's sort of like it stripped a lot of that away. And I sort of like and then I started to like get my shit together, and then it sort of forced me to kind of like restructure and rebuild my life from scratch and sort of figure out what I really wanted to do with myself, just because I had one girl sort of fuck me over mentally. And honestly, I didn't have a girlfriend after her till this one, because like it was just, I don't know.
And she was, hey, listen, you waited for the perfect one.
Yeah,
because somebody who understands, who's open, hey, listen, this shit is not easy. People like it's interesting to hear about people who have open relationships. It's interesting to be a guy and have a girl that you can say like, sweetheart, go get that girl, bring her home tonight. Like, that's fucking amazing.
I would like to send her on more missions. That sounds
cool.
Yeah,
you should.
I've been very successful the last month.
Listen, you better start bringing home more pussy. You understand?
When I go to parties, bitches walk up to her and will just be you are so hot.
They start touching me right away.
We fucked a girl the other day together. It was just like the first thing she said to her is, "I'm fucking obsessed with you." Yeah. I'm like, wow, this should be easy.
Hey, listen, LA, you got to fuck in the afternoon. You know what I mean? Just
no nutting when the sun is up. Quoting Adam22.
That's all.
I don't come when the
sun's up.
Unless I was coming into the morning.
Yeah, unless I just woke up. If I wake up, I got about 15 minutes that I could fuck. But it's like, and she knows, she sees what happens. It's like, as soon as I actually get out of bed, brush my teeth, take a shower, it is like my energy level, even without coffee or without anything in the morning, is so high that I'm like running around the house. I'm fucking playing music. I'm like dancing. I'm rapping. I'm screaming at the top of my lungs about what I'm going to do for the rest of the day. I'm on my computer. I'm watching DJ Academics. I'm fucking, like, my energy level in the morning is
sometimes. You like Academics?
I do. I love Academics.
Why?
Because I feel like he does a better job keeping me up to date on what's going on in the news and hip hop than probably anywhere else besides Twitter. Like in terms of like somebody making YouTube content, I look at what he does and I think he just does a really good job of it. I feel like when a rapper has a court case, he'll actually take the time to find out the details, like what's actually going to happen to him. Because a lot of times that's in the news. It'll be a big headline, fucking on Complex or whatever. Oh, so and so is going to get 20 years, and then fucking Academics will come in and say like, hey, we actually did some research into this. It looks like he's probably going to get 6 months. It's like he fucking. I feel like Academics has respect for the culture.
But do you think that he is? I guess the word I'm looking for, like people maybe misunderstand him or because some people try to come at him or
the thing about Academics, he's a pure fan. He doesn't have music industry experience until now, so it's like he's coming from a perspective that to the fan, like his fans, the chat N-words is what they call them, because I was just chatting with him, I guess. His fans, like, I think they really, really, really relate to him because they really, really see themselves in him, because he's just a guy who likes rap, like, and with me too, in a lot of ways, like, in a sense, like me getting deeper and deeper into the music industry maybe makes me less relatable. With Ak, it's like he's a dude that they see themselves in, because he seems like a guy who spends a lot of time sitting on his computer watching rap videos because he just genuinely likes Chief Keef. He likes Migos, and I don't know. That's what I like about him. I like. That
hey, listen, he's got a great platform. Shouts to Academics. Yeah. You know, one thing too. I remember when we seen each other. I was telling you about that. I got to shout out the kid Puck.
Shout out off the rope.
Oh, I remember. I was telling you that he was in a wheelchair. But that kid raps. I don't know if you ever heard him.
Yeah. I didn't hear it, but I know he does rap. Yeah. Listen,
I met him many years ago. He's a good kid. I know he fucks with you. So
yeah,
we got to shout out Puck, man.
Shout out Puck.
Good dude. Now, let me ask you, where can people find you?
At Lena the Plug on Instagram and Lena'sPlugs.com.
Lena'sPlugs.com is where you can go see her and a couple of her hot little friends.
You can buy my Snapchat and
watch
me suck Adam's dick.
You can buy the homies too, like a couple of her little thick homegirls.
Yeah, I like this. She's like, you could buy it if you want to see me suck Adam's dick.
We're probably gonna do that tonight because she's like, I ain't posted in the past 2 days, so you done it.
I'm like, my first anal.
His dick.
No. I'm saving that.
That's for the premium membership, $59.99.
Oh, tiered.
You got to go up.
There's an anal tier. That's incredible. Or an anal tear.
Okay, I just know the internet's going to break when that happens. So
if there's an anal tear, we're going to have to delete the clip.
Now, before we go, so that's what you mainly do is the private Snapchat, right?
Yeah.
But what do you want to turn that into also? Because say if Snapchat goes under,
Trying to diversify, trying to figure out like what other platforms I could use because I feel like the internet just starts slut shaming on every platform, so I have to jump from platform to platform.
But I think she's doing good right now because she got the T-shirts and stuff. She's got the stickers. She's getting more girls to sort of work for her on the side of things.
Fucking boss.
Yeah,
I'd like to move into a more like sex positive advice. I have a background in psychology. I seem to be getting like more girls who are.
Yeah, this bitch got a degree
because I'm open with
she got a degree
sexuality and discussing I think we have really good communication. And I think that's something that.
Well, I think what's cool is that you're with somebody who's also creative, so you guys could figure it the fuck out.
My manager.
I enable the fuck out of her.
Yeah.
To I like help her a lot with the T-shirts and the stick. Just and I don't do everything for her either because I'm like, listen, like to a certain extent, that's part of it. Is like you want to make a T-shirt like. You might want to do some of that work yourself to figure out how to make a T-shirt or whatever, So I don't do everything for her, but help her with all that stuff. And I just want to see her. We talk about the idea of a book a bunch because I think she definitely has something worth putting out into the world in terms of her knowledge. Even just the threesome thing. Everybody wants to fucking talk to us about that shit. We go viral every time we fucking mention it. I feel like there's definitely something to be said for where we could go with that creatively and everything.
Well, listen, you're a great couple. I love everything about it. I think, in this new age that we live in, fucking being normal is fucking, whatever. If you're happy, enjoy it. But, last thing, what platform do you like the most?
Well, man, it used to be YouTube, and it might have had something to do with that fucking $50,000 a month, but nowadays, it's still YouTube because that's still where I put my podcast. It's still where I put it's still where I like putting my content, even though I don't really make that much money off it anymore. But and also the other thing on YouTube is I do the live streaming thing. Like right before I left, I did a 12-hour live stream, and what we do is we give kids the chance to they can send in their song and we'll listen to their song or watch their video for a pretty low price, like $30. You get a couple thousand people to watch it. You get me watch it. I give my thoughts and everything. And I mean, that to me has been kind of a crazy thing that I sort of uncovered over the last couple months is just having a more direct relationship with my fans through this. And I know some people look at it and they're like, oh, you're taking money from them. But I mean, it's kind of the most logical way to manage it because it makes it worth it for my position. And then also if you were to just look at the chat and all the links that they're spamming, you'd never be able to pick out what stuff to listen to. But I mean, I've uncovered a ton of shit like that, tons of new rappers who are just, guys who are. There's a rapper named Lanze that you should look up, Lanze. And I say that with a degree of you're just not going to be able to believe what is up with this guy. But I mean, I feel like that's one of the dopest things that I get from YouTube now is that I can make some money from getting donations from the fans to actually listen to their music. So now that makes me feel like I got this tight ass connection with my fans that I noticed with Academics that he had the crew, the people who really fuck with him in the chat and stuff. And I realized that was because he was doing the live streaming thing and building that relationship with them. So I kind of think that's the future in a lot of ways for somebody like me or him.
Yeah, that's dope. Hey, listen, people who've been following you for years, people who fuck with you, people who believe in you, people who are inspired by you, people who just want to do some of what you're doing, what's some advice you have for them?
Sacrifice. Don't go to the bar. Stay the fuck home. You got, if you're working 8 hours a day, it's you probably need about 6, 7, 8 hours of sleep. you need to take those 8 hours that you got free, and you got to do every single thing you possibly do to clear that shit out so that you can focus on your passion, your creativity, whatever the fuck it is you think that you need to do to be able to get into a better position. And I feel like all the sacrifices I made over the years in terms of not going out at night and sitting on my computer all day or reading all day or whatever, it's like that's what got me where I'm at. And I mean, that's important to me. I think people need to really like take ownership of their time. And if they want to be successful, it's not about making one song and buying a fucking Supreme hoodie and trying to look fucking hot on Instagram. It's about actually like contributing something relevant to the culture and working your ass off to get it,
Amen. Amen. Internet, Adam22, No Jumper. You know where the fuck to find him.
Skirt.
Support what the fuck he's doing. He's a good, crazy, weird motherfucker. He's got Lena. She's out there fucking hunting pussy for him. You know what I mean? Listen, and once in a while, if you want to get on that Lena's private Snapchat, she may show you that cat too.
That ass, though.
Listen, Internet, Lena, Adam22.
Premium Pete.
See you next episode.
Podcast OGs.
Cheer.
Let's get it.
Internets, if you enjoyed that episode, I want you to reach out to me. Email me. Tweet me, okay? Email thepremiumpeteshow@gmail.com. At Twitter, @PremiumPete. @Premium Pete Show on Instagram, @Premium Pete, @Premium Pete Show also. Let me know what you like. Let me know what you didn't like. And also to all my small businesses or big business, no matter how small or big you are, you want to advertise with the Premium Pete Show, get at me. thepremiumpeteshow@gmail.com, and we'll figure something out, okay? Now make sure you subscribe, rate, and tell a friend to tell a friend. And I'll see you next episode. Cheer.